going to happen right now.
And we're live, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, you know what?
What?
You do it. Go for it. Do the intro.
And we're live, ladies and gentlemen, in a world divided by something and something. We are here to discuss.
Oh, come on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the World of Gray podcast. In a society divided by black and white arguments, we are here to explore
the world of gray.
I am Kelowna's Cougar Meat Kid, Colin Cutler.
I am the Flow, Mike Chisholm. It is nice to be here on this amazing Sunday after an amazing Saturday. And I'm really, really excited. It's Sunday in the Okanagan. My God, of a long weekend. And what are you doing this afternoon?
I am going to Woods Lake with my entire family. Hopefully my sister, who is trying to ditch out because she's coming back from reunion. So Dana, if you see this, come to the beach today.
Yeah.
My nephew, who's 20, is going to come. My dogs are going. It's going to be a good day. Alex
20?
Draper has joined us. Carrie has joined us.
I'm going to my friend's pool with the baby, with the granddaughter.
Love it.
Yeah, me too. Barbecue, summertime, blue sky, Okanagan. Amazing time of year.
Michael Crenshaw has joined us. David has joined us. We got two
look at all
Davids
these people
have joined us. So thank you everyone for
age.
joining the World of Great podcast. Today we're talking about civil discourse, arguments, how to keep your own dignity while having any difficult conversation. My job is really having hard conversations. I'm reading a few more leadership books now. So not only do I have to have hard conversations with staff, not that I have difficult staff, just, the important conversations that might be uncomfortable, but also just with, difficult members and things like that as well.
All that is true. Now let's address the uncomfortable thing that's going on right now. On my watch party, there's been a comment. Where's the puppy?
Oh, Hardy took the day off. Hardy went with my mom. She came to help us load up the kayaks today, and Hardy wanted to go with her, so we let her go.
Bunch of bullshit. There's no wiener dog.
And we just lost two people.
Yeah,
I mean, the wiener dog's coming. Keep watching all the way to the end. The wiener dog is coming.
Yeah.
So comment here if in any watch party or comment here on the World of Great page. Let us know if there's anything you struggled with having civil discourse. Chisholm, is there any examples you can think of in the past? I mean, especially through work.
Recent past. No, I got one. I got one that just happened to me right now.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And my whole thing is like, you talk about civil discourse and whatnot. For me, the slice of civil discourse I'd like to talk about is the difference between forgiving and being a doormat.
Ah, yes.
And forgiveness or resentment.
Tell me more.
These kinds of things. So I had somebody in my life who I respect greatly, and I have treated that way. I've done my best. Not perfect in every way, of course. Not perfect in most ways. I'm not. But at the same time, he's a person in my life that I've tried to really be good to, and in a very, very recent event, I showed up and he just went in a completely different direction and was kind of publicly humiliating and some of these things
without talking to you privately and actually hashing it out, which is what we're talking about here.
Absolutely.
Today. Yeah.
Absolutely. And without the civil discourse. And I had a choice to make as that was happening. And I can tell you that, okay, I'm 43-year-old Mike. You're listening to 43-year-old Mike here, depending on the time and place you're listening to it. If you're listening to this well off in the future, then who knows? But
you're dead.
That's probably correct. Yeah. But you know what? This day in 2019, I am very grateful for the journey that I've gone on over the last, 4 or 5 years, because 4 or 5 years ago, this person acting this way to me would have been devastating, hurt my heart, totally gotten to my mentality. Right. And it's so cool. Oh, there's those F-16s flying over. I think they're flying over right now. Squirrel. Sorry. They're fighter jets, man. It's Top Gun happening outside our window.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, what happened though was it was a really neat thing. I didn't give away my power to this person. And in fact,
what do you mean when you say that? I didn't give away my power. What does that mean? You didn't let it consume you. You didn't.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit. Like it was like being mentally and emotionally bulletproof.
Nice.
Like he literally was. Jen's here. Jellen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my God. I'm gonna have to put you on the payroll.
How do you?
She has access to my bank account.
Where do you get one of those? I mean, I'm just saying. Wow.
I found her at House of Rose Winery. So
you found her at House of Rose. Okay, you get her at a winery. So there you go.
Out of the
Pro tip. Go find someone who will make you smoothies while you're doing a podcast at a winery.
I just plucked her out of the field.
You picked her.
Mm-hmm.
All right, like a grape.
All the good girls are at the wineries.
There it is.
Jen for the win.
Yeah,
that's the funniest thing that's gonna be said in this podcast. It's all downhill from here.
So anyway, no, like this person, like other people who saw the treatment was like, that is cruel. Someone said that word to me. That is cruel. And it would have been taken as cruel for me 5 years ago, but I have this.
Roy has joined us. Matthew has joined us.
Yo, Roy, Matt. I have this,
That's good.
I guess, I don't know if it's bulletproof armor. You talk about this where you don't steal the power. That was the question you were asking.
Yeah.
I didn't let it affect me. If I would have let it affect me and it would have gone down into my heart and soul, that's me giving my power to that person. That's me giving, the keys to my emotions.
Right.
Here you go. Take them, use them, unlock them, do whatever you want to do in there. But I didn't do that. And it's funny how I immediately forgave him, like in the moment, like while it was still happening, because this event happened over about a 5-hour period.
Let me ask you something.
Yes,
so
yes.
to get to this point, you're saying in the past this would have bothered you. Is this just something over time and experience that just you naturally? I feel like that. I feel that the older I get, the more I just start to understand other people's point of views, even if their intention is to attack me, or even if they don't have the best of intentions. I have this part of my brain that I've trained now where I can stop and go, okay, well, let's see where they're coming. There's got to be a little bit of perspective that I can agree with from their end to then try to unravel this conversation. Again, even if at the end of the day, I don't agree with the premise of their argument or their statements or their attacks.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean, everything, regardless of, we talk about truth and all these things. What is true? What is not true? Everybody around could see that this person is being unreasonable regardless of what the truth is, whatever happened. If I screwed up and I hurt this person's feelings, whether or not I screwed up intentionally, unintentionally, or it really happened or whatever, the punishment did not fit the crime, if that were the case, because the intention was not. But regardless, to answer your question, I think age is part of it, but I also think that if you continue to grow in that direction, you're going to grow in that direction. If you don't try and impede that growth. So I read in a book, and I forget which book it is. I read in a book, when you are talking.
Pete has joined us.
Yo, Pete. When you're talking to somebody and they are being unreasonable, cruel, hurtful,
or
something,
you think they're being
activated, or they're activated, or they're no. I'm saying like they are like they're clearly down a path.
I know, but my point is it's all perspective.
It is all perspective.
So when from your perspective they're being unreasonable.
Yes. And they're in a place or whatever. If you can kind of step outside yourself and go, holy cow, okay, imagine right now that this person is being the best them they can be.
They're doing the best they can with the tools they have.
At that moment.
At that
moment, you imagine that they are absolutely, even though you've seen them act better or different or more clear-headed or whatever, but if you just imagine right now, holy cow, this person is being the best them they can be.
Yeah. That's empathy. And that's exactly it. It's
exactly what happens.
It's understanding that we're all human. We're all like chemical meat sacks.
Yes. Yes.
That made me
and
laugh.
As long as they're not physically assaulting you and you're not in actual danger, you can actually kind of step outside of yourself and you create this empathy that didn't like, it's almost like there's another gear in a car. Like you're burning down the highway, revs of the engine are high and you're like, holy cow, wait a second. There's a sixth gear here, and you kick it down and suddenly you're cruising more and your revs are way down, because what'll happen is you realize this person is being the best thing they can be. Oh, this poor person. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This person must be in a lot of pain. This person must be really feeling lost, or this person really must be, boy, they're lashing out. Oh man, this poor person.
Even if they don't fully understand from your point of view, there is something in there that made them feel that way. Let's unpack it. But if they're not willing to have that conversation, it's a whole nother beast.
No.
But I like what you're saying, in perspectives and how you could have gone about these situations. I have a lot of these moments now that I take a breath and I stop and I choose a different path. Because think about how much different that would be when you're in front of a bunch of people and somebody calls you out. If you start firing back and just being kind of within that same energy, right? It's going to make it's going to make both of you look bad, right?
100%.
But when you can just take a breath and not escalate a situation, understand that there's no productive way out of the situation and paradigm at hand, then everyone else around can go, okay, well, I had a similar situation with a member who we ended up having to ban. And when I had this, what I wasn't trying to start an argument, when I had this interaction with this individual that ended up instantly blowing up into this argument of him yelling at me, I literally just turned and went, it's okay, and just started cleaning up equipment around as I'm not even really looking at him anymore, and he's just yelling at me. But the thing is, everyone else around, what do they see? What is their perspective? They see me saying, oh, it's okay,
Yes.
cleaning up equipment, and just this guy berating me with no, like, if I would have just started going back at him, like, it wouldn't have solved anything because he's seeing red, he's mad.
Yep,
but it also
he's
makes all the
activated.
other members around. And I had multiple members come up to me after. One guy was actually really awesome, which is why I love the why. He's like, hey man, I saw that. Just want you to know, I got your back.
Oh.
I was like, thanks, man.
You know what's funny?
Thanks, bro.
The situation I went through, I had the same thing. I had people coming up to me
Yeah.
saying, hey, you okay? Like,
Yeah.
I got your back. Like similar sentiments, which was very interesting. Can I just, I want to respond to that, but somebody on our
Jeff Christie has joined us.
Yo, Jeff Crit. Somebody said to us, I stayed home from church to watch this. Haha, I thought I'd come to this church today.
You know, Carrie,
How
that
amazing is
that
that?
actually means a lot to me. I was
My
having
heart right
a
there.
full disclosure. I'm almost too transparent sometimes, but I was talking to my mom about this. I'm not a mama's boy by any means,
Jay.
but I was talking to my mom
How
about
you
this.
doing, Jay?
And I was just saying, like, I was getting a little discouraged because we've changed the format where we're using YouTube from as the start and finish. So that, like, post live, you want to watch the YouTube.
It makes more sense.
It makes way more sense. But
Yeah.
because we never did really focus on that model before, we have nothing on, like, no subscribers,
watches
no
our
one's
YouTube
watching,
channel.
right? So we're really trying to, like, find ways to plug in. We're not like, I mean, you're a marketing guy, but we're not like, oh, please
We're not
like us
actively
and blah, blah,
marketing
blah, blah,
this,
blah.
no.
Like, we're not begging for things. We want people to watch us because
we
they
don't even
enjoy
put
it.
the YouTube links on our channel.
I-
Like,
no,
we
I do.
don't even. Oh, do you?
Not on this, but when I shared before, I have started, right? So we're like, we're gaining more.
It's
But I was
coming.
just talking about my being discouraged with that, and my mom was like, "Oh my god, do not quit!" And she was talking about, like, our dynamic,
Yeah.
and so it's the people that have watched us from the beginning. It's everyone that watches it, but, like, people like Harry saying things like that, Jade who watches, like, our that stupid silly video we
Yeah.
did, and, like, comment, like, it's that's really why I'm doing it. That's why I've always done
100%.
everything. It's for the little things,
Yeah.
and I think I just
had
need
a guy
to
in
learn.
Vancouver say that to me
I think
yesterday.
I need to learn patience, but
No, you don't need to learn patience.
yeah,
Well, maybe a little.
maybe a little
I had a
bit.
guy come up to us in Vancouver yesterday, and he's like, "Hey, I love the podcast so much. Can't wait. You guys, like, what are you doing here? Does that mean no World of Grey tomorrow?" I'm like, "No. Don't worry. I'm going
That's
back
awesome.
tonight. It was a World of Grey
That's
tomorrow."
what matters. So if you do like the podcast, please do us a favor just to hook us up. Give us a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, or
Mhm.
even just tell your friends, give it a share. The more people we can get, the whole reason we're doing this is exactly the topic at hand. It's conversations. It's
Yeah.
civil discourse. It's so you and me, and my mom was saying, like, we disagree a lot.
Yeah.
She's like, what's great is you're similar, but very different in a lot of ways. But every time I literally stop and be like, I disagree. And you go, okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally the response. And this is,
Yeah.
it's because we're face to face. It's when we start getting online and starting having these back and forths. It's happening now with me and someone really close to me, and not in a bad way. It's like we have the same intention when it comes to humanity, but we believe completely opposite political things that are going to get to the same place.
Gotcha.
And it's trying to figure out how each of us have got there, but it's having this in a civil way. Same thing with a wrestler in Vancouver. We have kind of different perspectives on things, but I think, like, if we talked face to face, we would find so much common ground, because we do.
Oh,
We
you have so much more in
when
common.
when
than
he
you do.
comes down for wrestling shows, I absolutely love this individual. I love his mind. I love talking to him. And there's probably things he would say that would help me kind of see a different perspective.
Sure.
So that's the thing, is you need to really be open when you have these conversations and be willing to say, oh, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. And then look into that perspective, and changing your perspective in mind is a good thing.
Yes.
That being said, you do have to be careful that you're not so malleable.
You got to protect yourself.
that everything you watch, you just start shifting your point of view, like,
Yes.
super easily. I mean, you got to have a little bit of a stake in the ground, and, like, this is my overall morals.
Yeah, you got to plant your
and-
flag, but
yeah.
you can't or not can't, but in my opinion, you shouldn't tell everybody your flag is the best.
Yeah, there's a good way to word that.
And go, okay, here's my flag. This is what I believe. Now you got to believe this, or you're a fucking idiot. No, that's
Yeah.
not the right way to go. And bring that round.
Raven
back.
Lake has joined us.
Yeah, Raven
Uh,
Lake. Oh, I wish I would have seen her yesterday, but she was not there. But you know what? That's okay. Maybe next time. So anyway, me and Kevin Jeffries were talking about this as well, because we went down to Vancouver and back together, and we were talking about forgiveness, and it's so funny how forgiveness, almost every single time when you forgive somebody else, even if it was something that was not your fault, but you take the responsibility of the situation and go,
Yeah.
you know what, I want to forgive them, and you just do it. And I did that instantly to this person I was talking about yesterday.
Yeah.
I instantly forgave them. I didn't do it for him.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I did it for him in the sense of like, I'm open to the
And you have
doors open.
respect
I have
and-
respect.
yeah.
Oh, 100% respect and appreciation and gratefulness. And by doing that, the door is open. If that person decides to change
Yeah.
their ways a little bit and come to a more proactive, productive way
Yeah.
of dealing with things, great. But I did it for me. I did it for me. And that's where part of that bulletproof came from. Part of the way that he couldn't hurt me. He
Yeah.
couldn't hurt me. He couldn't hurt me at all because it's like, oh, you poor guy. You're being the best you can be right now. Holy cow, man. You must be in a lot of pain. I totally forgive you.
I think on the other side of that too, just being able to apologize,
Mhm.
even if you're not sure if somebody takes offense to it. I have kind of a funny story. We were in a meeting with my general, I don't know if I told you, sorry, my a bunch of general managers from all the Ys, and then the CEO of the YMCA, the Okanagan. And I've been doing like 11, 12-hour days. I was at a 9 o'clock meeting when I really worked at 12:45. I was tired. I had a headache. So I'm kind of out of it. And
Were you
everyone knows
surly?
I was a little like being goofy or whatever. And I asked a question, and she very nicely was trying to answer my question, but the thing she was answering was the part of the question I already knew. And I was like, yeah.
Uh-huh.
to
I've done it.
the CEO.
I've done it.
And then that night I was in bed and I was like, why did I do that? Oh my God.
Oh, see, I think
That's
that
gonna be-
shows strength. I think that shows strength.
But
I think that shows
she was kind of joking around with me back. She knows me pretty well. Anyway, so the next day I talked to one of the other GMs about it, and he was like, yeah, maybe don't do that to the CEO. I was like, I know. I was like, I feel really bad. And I was pretty sure she knows me and knows like my intention. But just in case, like just to clarify,
Right.
I just sent an email and said, like, hey, sorry if I came off as rude, as unprofessional, blah, blah.
right.
And then she responded like, no, not at all. She's like, I thought it was good that you were being yourself and blah, blah, blah. So it's just the other thing too is having these uncomfortable moments that instead of just armoring up, as Brene Brown says, and just like, oh, I just won't talk about it, or I'll, whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
I'll just slough it off and they know.
Oh,
and
let's
then
repress it.
I
Let's
won't.
just
Yeah, let's just
push
repress
it down into that jar. There's room.
You build and block. Carrie Lee has joined us. You
Yo, yo.
build a relationship with this person, and you're checking in with how they feel about what you say, and you're figuring out what's right and wrong. It's kind of what we
Yeah.
talked about in the PC culture thing
Yep,
with that
yep, yep.
expansion contraction.
Yep.
It's testing the waters, and over time, when you find out what's okay and what's not okay,
Yes.
it really helps solidify a more solid relationship and base. This is important with friends.
Yep.
It's okay when friends fight and have disagreements, because that's how you go. Me and Sergio have fought so many times. Me and Kyle have had really good hard conversations that are awkward, and that's why they're my brothers. That's why they're my best friends.
Yeah, you
That's why
can
they're
get through that stuff.
family
And
to
they're
me.
there still.
And if you go through that and one member blows up, or you find out that you're just so different that you shouldn't, have that connect, then that's okay.
Yes.
That's how we figure out where our tribe is and who we want to be around, which in turn helps develop us and our character and our morals. And
Yep.
and we really do need to lean into those conversations and live into our morals, because if shying away from that conversation doesn't lean into what your morals are,
Yeah.
if just wanting to not be vulnerable is affecting or compromising your morals, then you're not growing and you're not developing.
I can say that in another way with another in my mind, like those are the moments you need to pay attention. When that stuff is happening and you're in that uncomfortable place, that's where being present is amazing, because what you can do is you can actually go in and go, oh, wait a second.
We got
Shit.
somebody watching on the YouTube.
Hey, welcome, YouTube viewer.
Welcome, YouTube viewer.
All right,
That's
that's
exciting.
great.
I'm way too excited about that.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere.
If it was the clickbait of saying, can we forgive Trump? Don't worry, we'll figure that out.
We're going to talk about that. Leave something in the comments. Let us know who you are. It won't tell us who you
Comment
are.
on the YouTube.
We want to
Hey,
know who our one YouTube listeners.
I got a bunch of people on my Facebook watch party.
Oh,
too.
yeah. We got
Hey,
people
everybody.
watching.
Yeah, welcome all. That's all these people were at some point.
But I think really at the end of the day, in this crazy experiment of being a human, that's all we're trying to do is grow as an individual.
And that's if you can be present in those moments and say, holy cow, and if you can actually train yourself to get excited about moments like that, like, oh, there's a bunch of tension
Yeah.
here. Okay, this is where I can take this piece of knowledge out, or this is going to be a learning experience for me. I wonder how it's going to make me grow.
Yeah.
And if you can actually get yourself to that place, you'll almost welcome those moments. But the thing about those moments, in my experience, is when you learn from them and you're actually able to be present in those moments, you'll never really have them again because you've grown.
Right.
And then suddenly it's like, oh, the next time sudden tension shows up and you see it, you're like, oh, okay. And you can avoid it right away, or you can diffuse it right away. And that's an amazing thing too. And yeah, like that's what, there's so many people who don't forgive people because they think it makes them a doormat. They think that it hurts their self-respect, but it doesn't. It actually does the exact opposite. It actually makes you the person with the self-respect, because you're able to move past something, and it could be something heinous.
Yeah.
It could be something really, really heinous. I mean, yeah. And what it does is it actually really raises your self-respect at that point, because you're in control. You're making the decision to go and do this and move on. And man, now that you've gotten rid of that, you've freed up RAM in your head to go, wow, what's next?
Yeah.
Whereas otherwise, that thing that you're not forgiving takes up so much RAM in your head, and it just it can consume you.
I think one thing to keep in mind too is in doing this and growing as a person, you're going to fail at it.
Oh yeah,
a lot.
Oh yeah,
you're going to have conversations. When I first started managing, I had conversations that when they were done, I remember the supervisor. I looked at him like, that's not how I wanted that conversation to go.
Yeah, I've been there.
And you're going to get beat down. You scrape your face up, and you just got to get back up and go, okay, that didn't work. They didn't understand what I meant there.
No.
How can I go about it? And I think, in my opinion, what's difficult for people is the emotions that are attached with the failing of having these conversations.
Yeah.
That shame you feel when you're trying to explain yourself and it doesn't work, and someone attacks you and you just kind of shut down and withdraw and pull away.
Yeah.
Because it takes time to have these conversations, to understand other people's point of views, and it takes a lot of emotions. But I think what's a key, which is something in this Brene Brown book that I'm reading right now, which I'm pretty sure Kelly's going to want to beat me with the book she gave me because I keep spouting it off.
Isn't that amazing? No, and that, in reality, she's proud of you.
She totally is, and she's actually said it. But what I found really interesting is it's okay for all of us to have any emotion that we have in any given situation, but we need to put boundaries on the behaviors that we display when having the conversation.
Yes.
You can be upset. You can be angry. You can be confused, right?
Yep.
You can have any emotion you want, but your behavior has to be civil, has to be somewhat like neutral, for lack of a better word. Controlled. Thank you. Way better word. And because if we've talked about this before. It's chemical. It's instinctual. If I yell at you, it doesn't matter whether I'm right or wrong with what I said. It's when dogs get their hackles up, right?
Reptilian brain, man.
Your reptilian brain, and that amygdala starts sending adrenaline or whatever other chemicals it sends, and you're just going to get defensive. But if we can say, what I always like, it's like, I like to start with, okay, so I know you're probably frustrated with this, and I totally get that, but this is my point of view or whatever. The other interesting thing is just the story I'm telling myself is what another word, because human brains love stories, and we like to just make a story up with everything, especially when we don't know what's going on or what the result of something's going to be. Like if I were to say to you, if I were to text you, hey, at 3:00, can you come here at 3:00? We need to talk.
Oh, I know. That's a great one.
What stories are you telling yourself,
that
right?
Is such a good one, man.
So if we know that humans tell, Kathy has joined us. Kathy Kemp has joined us.
Yeah, Kathy Kemp.
If we know that humans tell themselves stories, then we can communicate that. So if something happened between the two of us and I'm blowing this way out of proportion, I say, so the story I'm telling myself is this, this, and this. And you go, oh, no, that's not what I meant. Oh, well, yeah, I mean, kind of. Yeah. But this is also kind of what I'm trying to say. And this is how I feel about it. Blah, blah. Oh, okay. And just always get into the mindset of, oh, okay, I see that, or try to see that, or like, and it's hard, and I get it. And I understand we're in this outrage culture where it's so much easier to just share things on Facebook. Oh, that makes me angry. I'm going to share that and make everybody else angry. Yeah. Well, is it true? Did you look into it? What's the nuances of it? What's the facts of it? Yeah. Like, and if you're too tired or don't have time to do all that, don't share it. Yeah. Just leave it for another time when you've shared it more. And I know that's kind of a flip-floppy topic. I'm getting a little off
it's
topic.
It's not, but when things happen where there's some sort of a tension that could be there, you can remove even that one that you were just talking about. That's a great example of hey, we need to talk at 3:00 today. We need to talk, and it's like 10 a.m. and you're like, oh fuck, my whole day now, right?
But I tell you added the 10 a.m. because that's such a good. People do it so early. 5
hours later, are you kidding me? You're just trying to rook my 5 hours? Come on, man! Like that is such a people don't even realize, but that's a selfish move. That's a selfish move. You know, if you don't want to be selfish in a move like that, say to somebody, hey, I'd like to talk to you about 3:00 at 3:00 today. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's fine, but I just got to let you know something. Everything's fine though. You know, or
that's
something
good.
Like just something, give a person a bone.
One of my best friends in Rutland, Michelle, who runs the group, when she used to evaluate me in Rutland, she did an evaluation and I said, so what'd you think? She goes, she's with someone. She goes, "Oh yeah, we need to talk." And then she does like just to mess with me. And then I come in, she's like, "You're awesome. That was amazing." I was like, "Oh, I hate you." She's like,
Yeah.
She
You know, and meant to do it, right?
oh yeah,
But
yeah.
in that moment, okay, so a moment like that, a moment where somebody is giving you the gears, somebody is activated in front of you, right?
Yeah.
The trick and the skill, and you're never going to be perfect at it, but boy, oh boy, you can get there. Brene Brown actually talks about this too. You can actually become present in that moment. You can
Renee
become
talked
present-
about that on our Kelowna Now podcast.
She sure did.
She talked a lot about being
Yeah.
present and working on mindfulness, because when she goes into a meeting, she always thinks, okay, what was the last thing I was thinking about? And what
Yeah.
did I think about before that? What thoughts and moments have I had leading up to this exact moment before I walk into this meeting?
Yep.
So I can know what emotion I'm already predisposed to go in with.
And that's why
And-
she has 23 companies and is
and
successful as
is
she is. That is
amazing.
what a skill. And look what happens. Look what
She's
the
so
success that
amazing.
can come. And I mean, don't get me wrong, she has totally other skills and whatnot as well. But look at the success that can come for having a skill like that, though. That is an incredible skill that will lead to incredible success.
Leah has joined us.
Yo, Leah. All right. I've got people over here too.
So let's talk about Trump.
Oh man, can we forgive Donald Trump?
Can we forgive Donald Trump? Let us know who finds some moments in Trump where they don't think he's that bad, or who likes Trump.
There's people
I
who
know
like
people
Trump.
who love Trump.
Sure.
I think there's definitely, like, I have my opinions of Trump. I think Trump is kind of what's the term? It's something idiot. It's like it's not meant to say
No.
like that person's
No, idiot
an actual
savant.
idiot. No, it's like
Oh.
knowing idiot, or it's a political discourse thing where somebody, is unknowingly adding to unnecessary bad discourse because they're just like kind of not really sure what they're talking about, and they're just saying things.
Mhm.
But I do think Trump does it a little bit more malicious than that.
You know,
But-
I love talking. One of my favorite things in the world, because I'm not a big Trump fan, in the way, just even as a statesman, I'm not a fan. I do believe that if you have a political figure, that political figure owes it to be a representative of who they are,
constituents.
who they're leading. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're and this guy is the leader of a country.
The most
And-
powerful country in the world, just to be
Sure,
clear.
and I don't think he represents himself as many of the people I know in that country, and so like when a leader has to go and do something like that to be a character, but what got them there is people wanting that person to represent them.
Yeah.
I think there's a problem there because not everybody's a character. In fact, most people aren't characters. Most people just want to.
Trump is definitely a character.
And there's no question about that.
The reason why I don't necessarily add to the outrage that is the Trump administration
Right.
on Facebook and share like all these hateful Trump things is because most of them are too far. They're irrational, and they
Yeah.
don't actually result in any positive, response or positive
Yeah,
discourse.
they're
I
not looking
guess.
for the solution.
But I always look at Trump as a brand, because that's how I think he runs everything. And I think it's not that he's like some evil dictating monster. I think he just wants
Yeah.
the Trump brand.
His
to
words
be-
and tweets got to be on brand.
Yeah, he just
Yeah.
wants the Trump, not him himself, but Trump. Anytime Trump is named or in anything that's negative, he wants Trump to be, in the most to be liked by everyone. And maybe there's some sort of like deep psychological need for him to be wanted and liked because his dad never fully approved.
Oh,
We
who
could go
knows?
down the rabbit hole on that one.
There's lots of theories.
But I
as
think
to
he
how-
goes,
why
that's
someone
how
behave
he
that way.
does everything, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, and
He does
hey,
not do everything right. I don't.
no,
believe
and
that.
it results in some really
What do you
negative. Oh, it results in some really negative things, like some
Yeah.
bad echo chambers, and he does a lot of
Echo
these things on purpose. And I think he's really good at manipulating media. I think he's really
Yeah.
good at building false narratives. I just watched that documentary on Cambridge Analytica where his campaign was spending $1 million a day on data
data mining.
data mining and like focused ads.
Yeah.
$1 million a day.
Yeah,
Another
Stuff
video.
works, man. I know a very good digital marketer in Kelowna, and he talked to me about this stuff, not in
Yeah.
nefarious ways, but like my buddy's got a memorabilia store, and he's like, okay, well, what we can do is we can actually aim ads. We can aim, say the fans and say you've got a Connor McDavid jersey sitting on the wall,
Yeah.
and you want to sell a bunch of these Connor McDavid jerseys. You can actually aim and focus and find wives of Oilers fans
Yeah.
around Father's Day, and you can target them. And
Yeah, that's crazy.
right. And so, that can be used for all sorts of stuff. That can be
Cambridge
used for a bunch of
Analytica-
negative stuff too.
Cambridge Analytica had 5,000 data points of every single American.
How crazy is that?
5,000. And they create these echo chambers. But hey, on to what we're talking about is
Yeah.
this understanding, and not even necessarily into the world of empathy, but just getting into the gray area. Like, you have to understand what their ultimate goal is,
Yes.
and that's just to stay in power. So in knowing that, okay, that's what's happening, is creating an outrage culture going to solve that? No, because it's just going to rile up the Trump base, who
Yeah.
are going to be like, oh, well, yeah, you just hate Trump because you're left or whatever, right? And it
or
just
whatever
creates,
the response
yeah,
is.
and there's no common ground.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is, okay, well, this is what he believes. Let's pull it back. Let's have conversations with you and me. Let's have conversations with the people we don't agree with, and
Yes.
see if we can find any common ground. A really good example of this is when you look at the left-right spectrum in the United States,
Yeah.
is there's so much disagreement between each side. But when you look at polls for very common issues that are happening in the United States, they're at like 70% on both sides, like
Yeah.
total with the American people, like Medicare for all, free college. These things are polling at like 70%. If you were voting just off the like what each issue you agreed with at these percentages, who you would be voting for would be a lot different.
Sure.
Like, if you just voted for each issue and then that just generated the candidate's platform and
Yeah.
it automatically voted for you, I think there'd be a lot of people that weren't voting for Trump, right? So
Sure.
these are the conversations we need to have. Is, okay, what do you mean by this?
Well,
and
Yeah,
Sorry,
and you're
go
you no, you're bringing up the right word, conversations. Actually, I started when I started talking about Trump. I went down a rabbit hole. I didn't go down the whole way. I'll finish it off now. One of my favorite things in the world is when I see a Trump supporter who's willing to engage in civil discourse. I love it. I love picking their brain. I love asking them questions like, okay, but what about when he says this and then says that? Like, there are times where you can watch, some of these late night guys or whatever, Daily Show, things like that, where they'll show video of Trump saying something, and then a video a few months later of Trump saying the exact opposite thing.
yeah,
Like, and I love talking to Trump supporters. who
Lisa
are-
Maria has joined us.
Yes. The party will now commence.
Yeah.
I love talking to people who are willing to actually, Lisa's a person that does this as well.
She'll discuss.
She'll
The world of
absolutely
gray.
add the world of gray. So they'll actually, I'll say to
Like
them,
and subscribe.
yeah, but so many people who are willing to kind of put their stuff out there aren't willing to civilly discourse. They're
Yeah.
willing to shout. They're willing to shout. They're willing to shout down. They're willing to interrupt. They're willing to do all these things. My favorite thing in the world is when I find a Trump supporter who's calm and is willing to just have a talk.
Yeah.
Oh, I love picking their brain.
It's interesting
I love
too.
picking their brain.
This is why I believe an actual conversation is so important, because a lot of times we form opinions on all the different content that we've consumed,
Yeah.
and we then reiterate it, and we're not actually 100% sure
No.
why we're reiterating it.
No.
Like,
Ah.
I enjoy
Good
listening.
point.
I enjoy listening to Bernie Sanders. I wouldn't say I'm a Bernie Sanders supporter because I don't live in the United States and I can't vote, so who cares? But right, like, who cares about my opinion?
Yeah.
But I do like him, and no one has sent me anything that has thrown me off, and I'm waiting. I'm
Yeah.
cynical AF for a lot of things, and I'm waiting for
What's
someone.
AF?
Huh. As fuck. It's my podcast. It's our podcast. We can do whatever we want, right?
That can be your podcast. It's
No,
okay.
it's our podcast. I'm just saying, like,
All
it's not an external podcast. It's our podcast.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
why I corrected really quickly. Because I
all
believe that.
good.
But so when I was talking to this individual, they're like, yeah, I like Bernie too, but he just has some crazy ideas. And I said, oh yeah, name one.
Really? And they couldn't do it?
Name one.
Yeah.
Right. And they're, well, right. And it took a while. We kind of like
Free
talked
college
about
for
it, figured
everybody.
out. We kind of like figured it out or whatever. But I mean, we used to have, United States used to have free college. Doesn't mean every
know.
college is free. It
No.
means there are free college, because we actually won't get into that because that's a whole other like conversation.
No,
it's,
I was
it's just a
using
back
it as
and
an
forth.
example.
with that.
Although I mean, yeah, like
But-
great
but-
example.
There is some common ground, because I have one for Bernie that I would just like to hear more about, is him saying that felons should be able to vote from prison. I just like to learn more. I'm not saying necessarily that he's wrong, because, and really what I get out of that is there's two ways that could go. If you allow felons to vote from prison, then some party could then like give platitudes and like make them feel like they're going to get them out of prison,
Yeah,
right?
they could
But-
be the new Rhino Party of
But
the
on the
US.
flip side,
Yeah.
if you don't let people vote from prison, there's ways to lobby to have certain laws put a certain demographic in prison, which we see with the minority African American population and marijuana laws
Mhm.
who don't vote Republican. And if you put a bunch of them in prison, they can't vote. So then you have higher Republican turnout, which that scares me way more than the previous.
I was watching something, and I don't know if it was The West Wing or if it was, I was watching something, and they were talking about democracy, and it was like, okay, it used to be just men who own property that could vote.
Right.
Then it became men who something. Then it became all white men.
Right.
Then it became like, and so it's funny when you think about how young democracy in the modern age is, and you think about the fact that, 50 years ago, maybe 50, maybe it's maybe a little more than that, black people could not vote. And
I
how
know, that's
asinine
crazy.
does that sound? Like,
That's
and we
one
still
people
have-
ago.
Yeah,
That's
one-
a half a people ago.
half a people ago.
Half a people ago.
People in our
to
lives
quote Joe
remember that,
Rogan.
like crazy.
It's a great bit, by the way.
Oh, it's such a good.
As two people ago.
It's Rogan, right? Is that Rogan?
That's Rogan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think about that. We're still in it. We're still in it. Like
Pete joined us a while ago. Did I say that?
You did, but that's okay.
Sorry,
But
Pete.
we're
I just
still in
love
it
ya.
because like now it's like 50 years from now, are we going to look back going,
Oh,
"Those
100%.
fucking idiots didn't
Oh,
even
yeah.
let prisoners vote." Like holy cow, like where are we idiots right now? And I love the idea that, and it's fun turning into an old man, by the way. I'm enjoying the transition process where there's some stuff that's dry cement behind me where people my kids' age look at me and go, "You are such an idiot. You're a fucking fool for thinking that." And it's really funny seeing that
Yeah.
happening biologically. And I think that not just trying to stay hip, but trying to stay well informed while
Yeah.
still being able to plant your flag is a challenge of aging.
And trying to change your opinion as new information comes in, which is hard.
Well, that's my whole thing. Yeah, you're not
Yeah.
just trying to stay hip with the clothes,
Yeah.
but you're trying to stay hip with the ideas while still having a flag that is planted. But you should be able to raise your flag and replant it if you find better soil.
I love where you started going with that though, and I love the thought experiment of there's two thought experiments I like people to explore,
To consider
and to explore when forming an
ponder.
opinion, right?
Yes.
Of kind of how we structure culture.
Yes.
One is in 200 years from now, when people are reading the history books,
And hopefully driving flying cars.
Oh,
Man, please bring
hoverboard.
us a flying car.
2015, that's what Back to the Future was. Where's my hoverboard? It's 2019. I still don't have a hoverboard. I used to have dreams about hoverboards.
Yeah. Those
Well-
Nikes were sick too.
Yeah, they just, and the drying jacket. Anyways, we digress. But two things. One is in 200 years when they look back in the history books, what are they going to read? And are they going to go, really?
Yeah.
Like they had the ability to make cars that run off water, and they were still pulling pollution out of the ground
Or
and
feeding
running.
the planet.
Yeah, they
These
were
guys had
killing.
the power to feed the planet and they didn't
Yeah,
do it.
and they
What kind of
didn't do
assholes
it?
ran
Like,
Earth
what-
200 years ago.
Yeah, like what was wrong with you? They were working 40 hours a week.
Maybe they look at us all as tyrants.
Yeah,
They're all tyrants.
they'll be like, we work 2 hours a week and we just kind of like have meetings and some people fix some shit
And a lot of sex,
twice a
maybe.
week. And we have I think
Maybe.
we have quite a bit of sex now.
Well,
might
not
just be-
compared to those 200 years from now.
Might
Let me
just
tell
be
you.
less STDs in the future.
Yeah, well, of
Yeah.
course they'll fix that.
But you know what I mean? And then the other one that I really like, this is actually my favorite.
Yeah.
Because it's more relevant to like the present. If an alien ship of an advanced technological being
Yep.
were to fly over and
Yep.
observe the Earth, what do you think they'd be thinking?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So you have the ability to take care of, feed, produce medicine for everyone in your species to help that species flourish and grow and
Yep.
last forever
Yep.
and keep the home they live on safe. And you just decided not to for some pieces of paper that you've been trading around that started because you had no other way of
Yeah.
organizing your culture back in the day. So you traded coins and okay, we
They're
get
big
that.
idiots.
But now you have, digital communication where you can link everyone and really manage the entire
Yeah.
world's resources and
Yeah.
allocate it properly. And the only reason is because you had a handful of people that said, nah.
Yeah, okay, and they all said, yeah, okay, wink, we'll all buy into this.
Yeah.
But nobody's bought into it. We've just accepted it. Like the buying into it happened a long time ago. Like when they changed the gold standard, it's like, okay, are we all going to buy into this? Yep. The people will understand it. No, good. Let's all do it. And they just went and did it. I want to go back to the spaceship analogy for a second. Because, okay, we're Canadian, right? But Canada being the little brother or sister. I think Canada's the little brother or the little sister of the United States.
I think they're the drunk neighbor that sits on a lawn chair and drinks beer.
Sometimes.
Hey, neighbor.
Yeah, we're watching hockey.
Like
Yeah,
Uncle
I mean-
Eddie from the vacation movies.
Yeah,
Shitter was full.
yeah, you know.
My dad would be laughing his ass off right now. if he heard me say
Regardless,
that.
or Bob and Doug McKenzie.
Shitter was full.
Yeah, there you go. It's for you,
What's
Dad.
even going on anymore?
For you, Dad. What are we gonna do for Mom? Hey, Jay, how you doing? No, anyway, so the alien thing. I love how, as Canadians and Americans, so I'm gonna put Canadians and Americans together in this because in a lot of ways we are the same culture as the United States when it comes to entertainment.
Apparently, they don't care
when it
about
comes to some of these
Mexico, but
things.
all right.
Mexico's a little different.
Edward has joined us.
I see Mexico different. About what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Yo, Ed. So if aliens showed up, I believe that we, as North Americans, not including the Mexicans necessarily, would think that of course the aliens are going to go like the movie Armageddon. They're going to go to New York.
Yeah.
They're going to go to Washington, D.C. They're going to go to L.A.
Mm.
Clearly, that's where they're going to go.
Right.
Because we have been bred to believe that North America is the epicenter of everything. And in many ways it is.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, where's all the people?
Yeah.
Like, who's to say? This is why I love the movie District 9 so much, because aliens showed up over Johannesburg, South Africa.
Yeah.
It wasn't a traditional, oh, America, of course, it's going to have America, right? And even Canadians would believe that to a point because we've been taught it. If aliens showed up, what city would they go to? Would they go to Shanghai?
Interesting.
Would they go to Dubai?
I think
Would
alien.
they go to I look at Dubai and it's like, oh yeah,
We're so
look at
far
this
away
shit.
from the mic.
Oh well.
Jeez, we're trying to do a show here.
All right.
No
Well,
wonder we have 2 subscribers on YouTube.
I know, man.
I think aliens
2?
would. Yeah, 2. I
We love
think
both of you.
I think aliens would treat us more like, you know, the Orville where they go to that Earth-like planet.
Yep.
Have you seen that one?
Yep.
And then it goes out, and then they only see the planet every like couple hundred years. But I think there would be protocols in place.
Yep.
I think aliens are probably watching us, but there's like we're so primal still because we're still
Oh,
like, fighting
yeah.
amongst each other, and like we have wars, and they're like, holy shit. Okay, so we're gonna let them catch up with technology first.
Yeah.
Don't go fucking down there
Let
because
the ants.
they'll lose their minds.
Yeah.
They'll shoot these little metal rockets at you, trying to kill you, which will be pointless because we have fucking like energy beams because we've
Oh,
actually
I
like
want
they're-
energy beams.
but they don't know that, and they're gonna
Yeah.
freak out, and then
Give us
you
your
know
energy beams,
they're gonna
man.
shoot nukes at us, which will just blow their own planet up. They're just too stupid for us to go down there. So
Yeah.
no one's allowed to go down to Earth until they figure their
Yeah,
shit out. All
yeah.
right, everyone.
Keep away signs all around our planet.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
But the reason I like that analogy is because it's my way of checking myself at the door
Yes.
and going, now if we could, would we do it this way? Like if we had another option, would we organize ourselves this way? Or would we talk to each other like is this even make sense? And why do we think this? And who's influencing me? I think that's another thing too, is when you go to just spout out some like rhetoric or perspective that you have, how'd you get there? Like we're talking
Yeah.
with the Renee, like going back, and I think that's an issue we have when we start arguing on Facebook.
Yeah.
Is we'll even go back and look up other things and that just solidify that same thought process instead of actually listening to the person in front of us and trying to see it from their point of view, which I think that's a really important thing to do because we live in a society divided by black and white arguments. So it is our job as people, as everyone watching this podcast, everyone in North America and the globe, to explore the world of gray. Thank you all for listening and supporting. Please like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, World of Gray. Peace.
Peace and love.
Love.
Okay, so the YouTube is stopping. YouTube has stopped. YouTube is
As of
almost
now.
stopped. YouTube stopped. But Facebook continues.